Kara, while feeling stuck in her job, is abruptly and unfairly fired. She is sitting in her office in the midst of destroying company property when she hears a wolf whistle. She discovers it's the company's owner, the highly affluent and infamous musician, Julian Aristo Starr. Kara is aware of his alleged dual personalities as Aristo, the consummate perfectionist, performer, and manipulator, and Julian, the reclusive creative genius behind the man. Unfortunately, it's Aristo. She is unimpressed. Running out of time to clear the premises, Kara bolts out the building only to encounter Julian, a totally different person than Aristo. Now she's intrigued. Julian convinces her to have dinner with him. The following morning, she wakes from an outrageous nightmare that just might be true, given the men's purple underwear on her mantle. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. The lighting in here is actually quite bad in general. now that I have this new camera, I can finally see it. Anyway, beyond that, today I thought I would do another book review, and given that at the time of this video's release, it'll be around half a month until the day Prince would have turned 65 years old, I thought I would honor his legacy, at least somewhat, by looking into a book that not only opens up on a quote from him, but one where the co-lead is quite obviously based off of him. The book in question is Dancing on the Edge of Moonlight by Leandra Simone. The TLDW for this review is this book is rough and messy in all the ways a book like this really shouldn't be. There are at least 5 different plots or story opportunities that it could focus upon, only to instead ignore most of all of those and focus on the framing device holding those narrative opportunities together. A framing device that is pretty much only held together by spite masquerading as passion and erotic desire. Desire which, given this book is a romance, it is incapable of conveying correctly. It does have some interesting turns of phrase and manages to place its characters in intriguing situations, and it does also have a somewhat of a connection to a noteworthy figure from pop culture. But aside from that, there really is nothing noteworthy or good that I could say about this book, unfortunately. And with that thing out of the way, with that summary, it's time I delved into the actual review. The main perspective the readers will follow is that of Kara, a costume designer who, after being surprisingly fired from her job, starts a fling with her former boss Julian, who is a musician and public figure known for his extravagance and fiery tendencies. She finds Julian to be a very exciting and very passionate figure within the life she is trying to reestablish around herself. However, over time, she soon learns just how driven and how insidious the man who chose her as his lover can be. And the dark clouds that emerge from that are how the author tries to convince the readers of this book that the main character is actually a complex, morally gray, and multifaceted character. But in truth, those dark clouds do none of that. What they do instead is they make this book borderline unreadable by the end of the first quarter. This book is supposed to be a romance, or I think it has been presented throughout all its marketing as a romance, where you have a good girl who manages to tame a bad boy, or where the good girl is brought out of her shell by the bad boy, and where an independent woman learns to find time in her learns to find the time and attention in her in her life for the love and attention of her partner. That is not the case here, because this book, in spite of how it presents itself, is not a romance of any subtype, regardless of any subtype and or of any categorization. This book instead is a psychological thriller where the villain wins. The interactions between Julian and Kara are not engaging. They're not exciting. They are not immersive. They are not they are not passionate. They are simply put, they are not interesting to read, or really and they don't make you want to delve into them. It's really all just abandonment, manipulation, and harassment galore. Like, what Julian does in this book is not gonna lie, exactly the kind of shit that soap opera villains are absolutely jealous of. This is the kind of crap that Lex would pull off in the later seasons of Smallville. But yet somehow when Lex does it, he was always unambiguously the villain. And in this book, Julian is supposed to come across as cool and driven and invested. No, he is not. He is not. He is a predator and an abuser, plain and simple. Like, if this book actually occurred in reality, he would have been Me Too so fucking hard, like you wouldn't believe, by the end of the first quarter. And the first quarter only really showcases the tip of the iceberg in terms of his manipulations and his downright criminal activity. Let's be real here. Then again, his co-lead, Kara, doesn't come across as that much better. When she starts out the book, she is presented in a somewhat intriguing manner. She does have certain characteristics and background that are all of her own, and that managed to make her an interesting character with a lot of story potential. However, as the book progresses and it increasingly bends over backwards, trying to prove how exciting and how much in the right Julian actually is, all of those distinctive aspects of her slowly get wiped away until she doesn't really seem to have any interests or activities that can't in some way be tied back to her volatile relationship to Julian. It's really sad, come to think of it. The only potential saving grace that their relationship could have would be the erotic. However, because this book isn't an erotica, it does not have the grace or the skill or the insight to really explore what their sexual dynamic is. And because of that, this relationship is absolutely hollow. There is nothing about it that really comes across as interesting between these two characters. And when it comes to other characters, they're just there so the author can use them in whatever ways she considers fit. As such, they are subjects of envy, instruments of Julian's manipulations, or whatever else she wants for them at that given moment. I could say the same thing about the setting as well, because while it is interesting or it is expansive, it is not well developed or even presented in an intriguing manner at all. It is just there so the audience can ooh and ah at it. like, and you'll see that this book actually has a lot of good reviews, but they only talk about, but what makes these reviews, but what makes the people give this book good reviews is not the quality, but the content. The fact that there is content, and the fact that there is drama, and there is drama and an elaborate stage dressing. But however, all of that ultimately aids nothing. It doesn't enhance anything. It doesn't present anything in an interesting way. It's just there. Overall, this book is a disappointment in pretty much every way that counts. Presenting arguments and ultimatums as passion and resolution, and only existing to really fuel the author's delusions of companionship and intimacy. My final rating for Dancing on the Edge of Moonlight is a 1 out of 5. And yes, I am very particular in choosing this finger to represent that. And yeah, that was my review. Sorry to have told you about this book. If you're on book Twitter, to any extent you might encounter this book, my recommendation is that you avoid it. It will really bring you nothing if you read it. Just avoid it. Just avoid it. If you, however, enjoyed watching me tear into this book, well then, please leave a like. Maybe even share this video wherever you think others will like it as well. If there is anything you'd like to add to the review or the book itself, well, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then, please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own book, Heir to the Empire of the Next Generation, is available at most major book retailers under a master link in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. You'll also find my Patreon listed down there in case you want to support me more directly and maybe even receive perks such as early access to videos and scripts, both for this channel and my second one. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.